COVID, making coffee at home is now more popular than ever before. But with literally thousands of machines for the home barista, ranging from $100 up to $18,000 on the market, which one do you buy? Which one's good for you? And how much should you actually spend on coffee machine? Let's check it out. G'day YouTube, Ride here, your coffee coach. And this Christmas, I'm going to guide you on purchasing your coffee machine for home. Now, this is going to be an unpopular decision, but I am not recommending you spend less than $1,000 Australian dollars, less than $1,000 on a coffee machine, and here's why. So let's say you see a great deal on Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, or the Boxing Day sales. There's a $500 machine, it's got all the bells and whistles, got a grinder built in, lots of fancy lights, a digital display, says it can make espresso at home. It's gonna be super easy. You won't have to go down to the cafe anymore. You can wake up and make a coffee for yourself whenever you want. It's gonna be great. Fantastic fantasy. Reality is, a $500 machine, there's no way it can make anything remotely close to what a $50,000 machine can make from your local cafe. So you're asking a little tinny or a dinghy to do what a mega yacht would do when it's physically impossible for it to do. Now, I own a cafe, so I hear this all the time, and I see customers, they come in and they say, oh, I'm not gonna be coming around much anymore because I've bought a home machine and I'm gonna be using that at home, so I'll buy some beans from you, but I'm gonna be making it at home. And I ask them what machine they have, and they say a little appliance brand that they got for a couple of $100. And I say, okay, I hope you go well. These are the pitfalls to look out for. Inevitably, what happens is that machine does not produce good enough coffee. And they make a lot of mess, and they break down, or they're lemons, and then they get shelved, and they become a $500 paperweight, and they're back in the cafe buying coffee before. So that's a wasted $500. Now, there's a few other caveats that I need to explain, because you could go out and buy a machine under $1,000 that is a great quality coffee machine as well. Now, the Rancilio Silvia and the Gaggia Classic Pro, they are both under $1,000, something like that, and they are great machines that will last you 15 years and do create a fantastic coffee. However, you need to be an experienced barista or need to be aware that you're going to put in a lot of hours learning, and it's a steep learning curve. But if you wanted to save your money and put it into those machines and learn and use your time and work out and figure out how to make the best coffee on those machines, you can certainly do that. So there is a way to get a coffee machine at home for under $1,000, but just stay away from the appliance brands. The only appliance brand coffee machine that I can fully recommend is the Breville Dual Boiler. And it's about $1,000 Australian. You still need to buy a grinder and invest in a grinder, but that machine, if you don't get a lemon, if you get lucky, will last you around 5 years, and it's going to create really fantastic tasting quality coffee at home as well. But you do run the risk of it dying within 2 years, and then you've wasted your $1,000. But that's one way to do it. Now, if you actually figured out how much you're spending on takeaway coffee every year, you'd be surprised. We're going to do some maths now, so get your thinking hat on and we'll break it down for you. So for you at home watching this video, I want you to use your prices from your local cafe and how many coffees you have each day. So if it's a couple of you and you're having 2 coffees each, that's 4 coffees a day, and whatever the price is of that coffee, I want you to use that in this formula. But for this example, I'm going to use my pricing and I'm going to show you an example at our cafe. Let's take an average order that we get here in the cafe of 2 coffees for a couple that live up the road, buying medium coffees, and one is $6.70 and the other one is $7.20. One has oat milk and they both have double shots in them, and they spend every day, because they buy 2 each, they spend $28 a day. Now, factor that in to 365 days of the year, because you don't really take weekends off of coffee, and you're looking at a staggering amount of $10,000. Now, I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy a $10,000 coffee machine, because you'll probably kill me and turn off this channel straight away, but you could at least invest at least $1,500 in a decent Breville dual boiler coffee machine, which will get you started, and then it leaves you some money to invest in a good quality grinder as well, which is super important. And if you don't know the importance of grinding, check out the video here on why you should invest in a grinder. But let's say you spend $2,000 on a coffee machine and $1,000 on a grinder. You will invest in your future of coffee drinking, and I'm going to show you how much money you're going to save and how quickly you'll pay that $3,000 back. Now, before I go into the details, I want to give a little plug to Coffee Beans Delivered, who sell fantastic coffee online all over the world. And this particular coffee that we're going to talk about today is the Kenyan from Vava Ngwenyi, who runs a 100% women-led coffee production. So she's really invested in supporting women in Kenya and building up their skills and helping them build up their own business and disrupting the industry. Now, this particular delicious Kenyan costs $74 a kilo, which might sound expensive to start with compared to a $40 supermarket brand, but let's break it down into the per shot price. There's 100 shots of coffee in a kilo. That's 74 cents per coffee. So even if you have a double shot, it's only $1.50, and you can still add a bit of 50 cents extra for milk, depending on what milk you drink, and your coffee really only costs you $2 per coffee. So let's take those maths and extrapolate it out based on how long it would take for you to pay back that coffee machine. So $28 a day is what we were spending per couple per those 4 coffees. And the machine and grinder cost $3,000. So we're going to divide 3,000 by 28, which gives us roughly 100 days. And that's how many days it would take to just pay off the coffee machine and grinder. It's not including the coffee yet, but we'll add that in now. So we worked out each coffee at home with the Kenyan beans costs around $2 with milk. And we're having 4 of those, so that's $8 a day. So we need to now take that $8, apply that to the total, which is 100 days, so $800. So now we have 3,800 divided by 28, which brings it into an extra 35 days. So in 135 days of buying that new machine and that grinder and investing $3,000, which might seem like a ridiculous amount to spend on a coffee machine for you at home, and you might be going, no way, but you get all of that money back in 135 days to stop you going down to the cafe and spending $28 a day. Now, of course, that's an example, and it's a little bit isolated. There's other expenses, of course, like electricity, and then there's the syrups and sugars and, washing up and all of those things to factor in, maybe services as well. So you could probably put in an extra $1,000 across 3 years if you wanted to. That covers you for your services, because these machines might last you 15 plus years if you invest properly. And so a little service along the way that might cost you $500 every 3 or 4 years. That might be enough to get you going. So that's it. I'm Ryan, your coffee coach, and I hope I've taught you some things about how to purchase your coffee machine at home this Christmas if you're looking at a machine. Stay tuned. I've got a video dropping in a few weeks, which is going to be about what coffee machine to buy for 2023. And I'm going to cover some of the new machines that have just come out, as well as the old classics. I'm going to start off at the cheapest and work my way up to the most expensive and look at all of the features on there. So stick around for that. I'm Ryan, your coffee coach, and as always, enjoy your brew.